Hello, JJ. Welcome to the stream. So this one is a surprise stream. Unfortunately, that means it won't be as long as the normal ones. This one is only going to be an hour long, okay? I need that to be clear and upfront with you guys. But I'm going to be just reading stories, and just so everybody who is coming knows, and JJ, if you could let them know as well, just in case they don't look at the description, I will not be responding to chat until after I finish each story, okay? And that's just to be clear with everybody so nobody thinks I'm ignoring them or being disrespectful. I just don't want to be in the middle of a folklore for a different country and then immediately jumping over here like, oh, hey, thanks for this, thanks for this. If anything pops up on the actual stream, that's what's going to happen. There are going to be some other people coming. I'm trying to give it just a second just in case. Because I do know usually Lulz pops in pretty quick, then Z-Bot will show up. Usually Cypher's pretty quick, even at a surprise one. So I'm just going to give it a minute to catch up, because I'm officially starting the stream at 7 for like story-wise. So that gives me time to get these stories that I want to read pulled up. Do you have any folklore stories that you want me to read? While I have this stuff pulled up and I can get everything typed out? She's Sam. I don't need any help, but thank you. Because right now I have 2 stories that I want to read. Thank you, IJJ. Because right now I think I have 2 stories, or 3 stories I want to read. Hey Venom, this is another surprise stream. I let JJ know, and I guess I let Sam know. This stream's only going to be an hour long. I'm ending it at 8 o'clock on the dot. I'm going to try to read out some stories, and then I'm going to split those stories up, so that way if people want to hear something specific again, they'll be able to look at those stories. And I will not be responding to chat while I'm actually reading, because I don't want to, you know, disrespect anybody's culture or folklore that I will be reading. Hello, Lulz. So far I have 3 folklore stories I want to read. Let me make sure. I've got the Boitata story. I don't want to mispronounce this. Kaipora story. I'm even getting the Tulpa, which is a Buddhist story. I'm trying to think of what other folklore I can come up with, because I got 3 minutes. I'm gonna pull up a bunch of stuff right there, so that way I can just move from one to the next after I respond to each person. Venom, do you have any folklore you want to hear about, or does anybody else have folklore they want to hear about? Because now's your chance to get it like actually introduced and read out in the stream. Let me pull up Google Translate again, because I had to use it to make sure. I thought I pronounced it right. Google Translate. No. Your head is blank, honestly. That's valid. I thought I pronounced it right.
Boitata.
Boitata? Did I not pronounce that right? I thought I said it just like that. It's probably Google Translate being a dumbass. I mean, that is entirely valid. It's also saying that it's a Czech word. Let me see how that's pronounced.
Ah.
Ah. It's pronounced ah. Yeah, go ahead. I'll listen to it on my phone so you don't pop up on stream. I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing things correctly as well. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody's culture. You're right. It is like really weird. You know what? Your head is having some errors. Let me. Okay, I wanted to make sure this was connected to my headset. Boitata, like that. Did I say that right that time? Boitata. Did I say it right that time? Boitata. Okay. So, the story I'm going to start with, the reason why I wanted to make sure that I get that right was because that's the first story that we're going to read tonight. So, like I said, just in case people are like upset that I'm not responding to you guys, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's that I'm reading out the story and I don't want to be disrespectful towards any cultures. And I am actually having to read it because I don't have any of these stories memorized. Okay. So, the story of Boitata. Long before cities rose and before humans learned to tame the fire, the land of Brazil was vast, wet, and alive with spirits. The forests stretched endlessly, the rivers breathed like living beings, and the creatures of the earth lived under the watchful eyes of ancient guardians. Among them was Boitata, whose name meant the fiery servant. In the beginning, Boitata was not fire at all. A great darkness once fell upon the world. The sun vanished for many days, and the land was drowned in endless rain. Rivers overflowed, forests flooded, and countless animals perished beneath the waters. The world became silent except for the sound of rain and the slow movement of death. When the floods finally receded, the earth was littered with the bodies of creatures who had not survived. Boitata was a serpent who lived near rivers and wetlands. Trapped in the darkness, starving and blind, it survived by consuming the eyes of the dead animals. The eyes glowed faintly, even after death, and as Boitata devoured them, their light filled its body. Slowly, the serpent began to change. The light it consumed did not fade. Instead, it burned within Boitata, gathering and growing until its body glowed from the inside. Its scales shimmered like molten embers. Its eyes burned brighter than fire. What was once flesh became living flame. When the sun finally returned to the sky, Boitata emerged transformed. It had become a blazing serpent of light and fire. Boitata slithered through the land, leaving its trails of flames behind. Wherever it passed, the darkness fled. It learned that fire could destroy, but it could also protect. And so Boitata took on the purpose greater than itself. It became the guardian of the forests. When humans came and learned to use fire, some respected land, others did not. Some set forests ablaze for greed, for carelessness, or for cruelty. They burned trees, animals, and spirits alike. Those humans learned to fear the night, for when the forest burned without reason, Boitata would rise. Witnesses said they saw a great serpent of fire twisting through the trees, its body glowing like a river of flame. Others claimed that it appeared as a towering pillar of fire, moving silently across the land. Wherever Boitata passed, the ground beneath it and the guilty could not escape its gaze. Those who looked directly at Boitata were struck blind. Some were driven mad, and others vanished into the flames, leaving nothing behind but scorched earth. Yet Boitata did not harm the innocent. Travelers who respected the forest sometimes saw strange lights dancing in the distance. These were Boitata's warning, a silent command to turn back. Those who obeyed were spared. Those who mocked the lights were never seen again. To this day, the elders say that when mysterious flames appear in the fields or wetlands, or when lights move where no fire should exist, Boitata is still watching. It remembers the darkness, it remembers the flood, and it remembers what happens when the land is desecrated, or disrespected. The forests burn only when humans forget, and Boitata never forgets. So that was the story of Boitata, which is a Brazilian folktale that I actually got from Lulz, because there was one that she wanted, and I had asked what stories would be good to start off the stream. And yes, I realize I stumbled on a few words. This is why I usually don't read out loud. Okay. Let me readjust my seat. So, before I move on to the next story, now is the chance to talk. This is how it's going to go. I'm going to give like a minute or two to speak with the chat and everything. Oh no, I understand, Lulz. It's just that I want to try to be as respectful to other cultures as I can with it, because I do know that some people do get upset if you disrespect the story at all. But I do understand what you're saying. No, the next one is another Brazilian story. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right. The Caipora? Is that right? You know what? I try to be respectful. That's just how I am with this, because I don't like causing things to be strong or wrong. So, I didn't have a chance to really read these stories before I read them, so I don't know much about them. Is it pronounced Caipora or is it something else? If you'd like to send me the pronunciation, yes, please, so that way I can make sure that I read it correctly. And sorry, I'm also having to drink in between stories because I'm really focusing on these and I'm not drinking anything. Oh no, when it comes to other pronunciations of the actual words, I'm perfectly fine with y'all telling me if I'm doing it wrong because I want to pronounce these right. That's what the point, hello Yuto, but that's the point of the stories, because I want to make sure that they're right when I put them up as different separate stories, and because they're going in the same playlist for folklore around the world, because I want to end up reading hundreds of different folklore. I want to learn more. Yes, I'm alive, Yuto. I'm only here until 8 o'clock though, so you've only got 43 minutes. So is it Caipora or is it Caipora? You can say one or two, or if they're both wrong. And no, everybody's free to talk. I'm going to go through the chat messages afterwards. Lulz is here. She's helping me figure out how to pronounce this so I can make sure I pronounce it properly. Caipora. Like that? Caipora. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to say it like I just heard. However, I know I'm going to stumble. Yeah, no, we don't, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Now. Oh, shit. Hi, Yuta. I was thinking you were Yuto talking. Hello. Now I am moving on to the next story. This one is the Gaipora. I'm pretty sure I said it right that time. I'm going to stumble. I might mispronounce it, but I'm going to try my best to make sure I say it right. Long before villages spread across the land, and before the forest knew the sound of axes, Gaipora walked freely beneath the canopy. Gaipora was the guardian of the forest, a small but powerful being with dark skin and fiery eyes, often described as having long hair and feet turned backwards. These backwards feet were no accident. They were meant to confuse hunters, for anyone who followed Gaipora's tracks would walk deeper into the wilderness, never closer to escape. Gaipora lived among the animals and knew each of them by name. The deer, the tapir, the birds, and even the jaguar were under Gaipora's protection. No creature was hunted without cause, and no tree was felled without consequence. Hunters who entered the forest with respect were sometimes spared. Gaipora would observe them silently from the shadows, perched on a branch or standing beneath the trunk of a tree, behind the trunk of a tree. If the hunter took only what was needed and honored the forest, Gaipora allowed them to return home safely. But those who hunted for greed, sport, or cruelty were not forgiven. When such hunters entered the forest, Gaipora would announce their presence with sharp whistles that echoed through the trees. The wind would change direction, the animals would vanish, paths that once seemed familiar twisted and disappeared. Hunters would walk for hours, sometimes days, believing they were nearing home, only to find themselves deeper in the forest than before. Some hunters claimed they saw Gaipora riding a wild boar through the undergrowth, laughing as branches snapped and leaves scattered. Others said they heard a childlike voice calling their name, luring them away from their companions. Many were never seen again. Those who survived told stories of madness, of being chased by unseen forces, of hearing drums where no people lived. When they finally escaped, they swore to never return to those forests without offering respect. In some villages, people left offerings at the forest edge, like tobacco, food, or small tools, to appease Gaipora. These gifts were not demands, but gestures of humility. To acknowledge Gaipora was to acknowledge that the forest did not belong to humans. Gaipora remains there still, watching, guarding, and waiting. As long as the forest stands, Gaipora walks among the trees, protector of the animals and judge of those who forget that nature remembers everything. So it seems that Gaipora was more of a nature spirit that just wanted to protect the forest. Kind of like the Fae were originally supposed to be. Honestly, it's really interesting. The thing that interests me more about that was the backwards feet. Because that's the one thing I was not expecting was the backwards feet. Hello, Detective Raito. So, I read Caipora, the Caipora. Did I read the wrong? Did you send me a different one? Did I read it wrong? Uh-oh. Did I bring the wrong one? JJ, they're allowed to talk. I said y'all can talk. I just won't really respond unless I'm done with the stories. Because I don't want to stop reading just to respond. That's part of the reason also why I have my alerts and stuff off. So it'll show up for me to see it, but I won't actually have it pop up on screen. So the next story that I'm going to do is actually the origin of the tulpa, which that... Are you saying huh to me, lulz, or huh to JJ? I'm confused. Also, hello, Strange Bacon. I do see you. Just so you know, most people are going to be over on the portrait side, if you can make it over there. You now like the basement. I'm glad you like the basements. The one you sent me was I may have misread it. Let me see if I. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I really hope I didn't read the wrong story, because the one I got that you gave me was the Kaipora. Oh. I think you meant to see me, I think it mixed them both together in the story. Oh no. I think you gave me a mixture of both. Because it says the Kurupira is a forest spirit known for feet turned backwards, fiery hair, and a fierce trickster nature. And it says that the Kaipora is also a guardian, but is more tied to animals and is often described as riding a wild boar. I think I mixed the two up. That's valid. Shit. So basically, what it seems to have happened. No, fine. You're perfectly fine, JJ. That's what the chat's for. You guys go joke and talk about it. It's perfectly fine. I'm not going to talk about analog horror just yet. I might get into that later. I do have 2 more stories I want to read, so between those 2 stories, because one is the Tulpa and the other is the Wendigo, if you guys have any other folklore y'all want me to read, just let me know, okay? So I'm going to start with the Tulpa. Okay, so the origin of the Tulpa, it's a concept that originated with Tibetan Buddhism. It's known as the Spropa, often literally translated as Tulpa for Western texts. The original and philosophical context for it, it's a manifestation created through intense meditation. There's not really any specific stories for tulpas because it could literally be anything that somebody believes in enough. So, in Tibetan esoteric traditions, particularly within Vajrayana Buddhism, advanced practitioners were believed to be capable of projecting thought forms into perceived reality. These manifestations were not viewed as imaginary in a casual sense, but as a mind-generated phenomena that could appear tangible to others. The purpose of such practices were typically spiritual instruction, testing of the nature of reality, or demonstrating mastery of illusion, not companionship, not escapism. Importantly, Tibetan teachings emphasize that all reality, in some sense, is mind-constructed, and tulpas served as a demonstration of this philosophical principle. They were often described as impermanent and ultimately empty of inherent existence. When tulpas entered the Western awareness primarily through the work of Alexandra David Neal, a French explorer and Buddhist scholar in the early 20th century, and her writings, particularly Magic and Mystery in Tibet, which took place in 1929, she claimed to have intentionally created a tulpa through prolonged visualization. According to her account, the tulpa eventually became increasingly autonomous, which means that it thought for itself, and difficult to dissolve, a detail that fascinated and unsettled Western readers. David Neal's writings frame tulpas as a blend of mysticism, psychology, and the limits of human perception, which contributed to the enduring intrigue. Now, in modern culture, the term tulpa, it has diverged significantly from its original meaning. It's often used as a psychological, fictional, and internet subcultural context to describe imagined companions or autonomous mental constructs. These modern interpretations are largely detached from Tibetan religious doctrine and should not be constituted and put together with traditional Buddhist practice. Now, the main reason why I wanted to talk about tulpas is because I was watching the show Supernatural, and they were talking about how there was a tulpa, which was the construct of somebody's thought processes and everything else, and everything changed with how people visualized it. And it got me thinking about, like, where do they actually get it from the show? So I wanted to look it up and actually give a little bit of a story behind it. So I genuinely think tulpas are interesting, but, and to be transparent, it's kind of where I got the story that I wrote about my avatar actually coming to life and talking to you guys. Now, that's it on tulpas. Now, before I get moving on to the Wendigo, I'm going to give everybody a chance to talk and have me respond. Lils, I have no idea what that says, so hold on. I gotta cheat. They heard from the peaceful banks, the heroic people. I think Google is lying to me, unless that's actually what you said. I'm also gonna take a drink. And you want me to read the Mandela catalog, so let me... Then I probably will not read that specifically on stream. Because right now I'm just doing folklore and stuff like that. Horror stories, things that like of that nature. Oh, it was a Brazilian anthem. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to start on the Wendigo. So if anyone else has a story after that, because this one's going to be similar to the Tulpa. It's basically just going to be explaining the origin and stuff like that. Okay, so this is the traditional, quote-unquote, telling of the Wendigo. Long ago, when the winters were harsher and the forests seemed endless, people lived by a sacred law. No matter how great the hunger, one must never eat the flesh of another human. To do so was to break the balance between people, spirits, and the land. During one terrible winter, the snow fell without mercy. Game vanished, rivers froze solid. A hunter became lost far from his village, alone in the dark forest, as the cold gnawed at his body and the hunger hollowed his spirits. Days passed, his strength failed. At long last, driven by desperation and the fear of death, the man committed the ultimate taboo. He consumed human flesh. The moment the act was done, the spirits turned from him. His heart grew cold, harder than ice. His body stretched and thinned, his hunger becoming endless. Though he ate, he was never full. Though he lived, he was never human, or no longer human. His soul was consumed by greed, and winter claimed him as its own. Thus, the Wendigo was born. It wandered the forest, taller than the trees, its ribs visible through frost-tight skin, its breath like freezing wind. The more it fed, the larger it grew, yet its hunger only worsened. It hunted people, not out of need, but because the hunger had become its nature. Some say the Wendigo is not merely a creature, but a spirit of corruption. A person does not have to starve to become one. Extreme greed, selfishness, or the betrayal of one's community can also invite the spirit inside. When that happens, the heart freezes and the transformation begins. That's why the elders warned their children, beware the cold inside yourself, for that is where the Wendigo enters. And so the story was told, not just to frighten, but to remind the people that survival means nothing if your humanity is lost. The Owlman? Let me pull up the origin of the Owlman. I will read those after this. Okay. Oh, let me stretch. So, the origin of the Owlman. Before names were written, and before the land was divided, the owl was a sacred watcher of the night. It saw what others could not. It heard what humans tried to hide. It carried messages between the living world and the spirits. Among the people, there was a chosen to guard this balance: medicine men, watchers, and keepers of old knowledge. They were taught that power borrowed from spirits must never be used for the self. But one man desired more. He studied the owl, not to learn, but to control. He sought its sight and its silence, its dominion over darkness. Through forbidden rituals, he called the night spirits and bound himself to the owl's power, not as a guardian, but as the master. The spirits warned him. He refused to listen. When the transformation came, it was not a blessing. His arms stretched and bent like wings, his bone hollowed. His eyes grew wide and unblinking. Feathers broke through his skin, but his body could not fully become what he stole from. He was trapped between forms, neither man nor owl. Thus the Owlman was born. Condemned to walk to the edges of the villages and forests, he became an omen rather than a guardian. Where he appeared, sickness followed. Where his shadows fell, death soon came. Some say he haunted those who wandered alone at night. Others say he merely watched, waiting for the moment when fear or wrongdoing made his presence known. Elders taught that seeing the Owlman did not mean he would kill you, only that death was already near. To hear his wings where there should be none, to see his eyes reflecting firelight from trees, to hear a voice calling your name in the night, spoken so slowly to not be human. These were the signs, and so people taught their children. Respect the spirits of the night. Do not take power that is not given. The owl sees all, and it remembers those who betray it. But yes, that is the origin of the Owlman, which I didn't know about at all. So that's actually cool. And yes, it was definitely a curse. A horrific curse. Yeah, the Owlman was very creepy. Oh god, I was mentioned. He tagged you in it too. So I'm just using Google to pull stuff up, and I'm going for the ones that say they're most traditional, but there's no guarantee that everything's going to be perfect. Yeah, gargle. You're right. Gargle. So, you wanted me to do Skinwalkers next. I'm not going to read their proper name because I happen to know for a fact I don't trust that they are not real. And saying their proper name will attract them to you. And I live in Texas. And they are very prominent around the Southwest and Southeast. So, I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, so, the origin of Skinwalkers. I am a Texan. Long ago, in the lands of the Navajo people, there were teachings about balance, respect, and the sacredness of life. Certain individuals, called medicine people or shamans, learned the ways of the natural world and spirits. They used their knowledge to heal, protect, and guide their communities. But some of their hearts turned dark. Some sought the power for selfish reasons, to dominate others, to harm, or to gain wealth at any cost. These individuals performed forbidden ceremonies, breaking sacred laws. They studied the forms of animals, learning their movements, voices, and essence, not to understand, but to control and to manipulate. Through these dark rituals, they became the skinwalkers. Their bodies could not take the shape of any, or their bodies could take the shape of any creature they chose, wolf, coyote, crow, or even another human. But their soul became twisted and corrupt. They retained their human cunning, but their hearts turned to darkness, and their deeds brought fear, death, and misfortune. The Navajo taught that a skinwalker's power comes from breaking taboo. Only someone who violates the deepest laws of respect and kinship could become one. The skinwalker was not just a simple shapeshifter. It was a warning. The evil deeds and selfish greed that could transform a person into something monstrous. Some stories say they travel in packs. Sometimes they steal, harm, or spy. Others say they can only appear alone, stalking silently through the night. The essence of the tale is purely spiritual and moral, not merely physical. It teaches the dangers of greed and betrayal, and disrespect for the natural and spiritual worlds. Elders would never speak of them lightly. Their name was spoken only when necessary, and the knowledge of their ways was guarded carefully. The power of the skinwalker lies in secrecy. To speak too much is to invite them near. Hello, kitty girl. Welcome. But yes, we are just reading stories. Does anyone else have any stories they would like me to read out? I'm trying to think of something. That'll be a different one. That's gonna be my 999th video, lols. I've already been putting it together. No, I'm joking. I haven't yet. I have never heard of that. Is that even a thing? I don't even know how I would pronounce that. Yeah, I'm looking it up on Google. Google's having a stroke. A giant fire-breathing dragon-like serpent from Seneca mythology that inhabits the deep water of Lake Ontario. It is often referred to as the meteor dragon. Okay, hold on, because I'm gonna have to figure out how to read that. Like, how to pronounce that name. So we're gonna detect language, and I'm going to cheat. How do I... It says that it's Zulu.
Gazianthietha.
I'm just gonna... Oh, God. I'm just gonna call it the Meteor Dragon. If that is okay with you, Bacon. Is it okay if I call it the Meteor Dragon? According to legend, there are two origin tales. One is born from a serpent's egg, which... Hang on, I just heard a massive thump outside of my office. I don't know if any of y'all did. I don't think I should have read the story of the Skinwalker. Oh my god. Hold on, I'm gonna try to find a proper, like, actual story told version. Because this was just, what I found is just the origins, and I want to find more of, like, a story like I did with the other ones. All I know is that scared the crap out of me. I just heard a massive dong. I don't even know if the stream caught that, but that scared the actual crap out of me. I'll read the No I'm Not Human lore after this story. Okay, so I found a shorter story for it. I don't know how accurate this is going to be. Bacon, you'll have to let me know. So, the origin of the meteor dragon. Long ago, before the land was fully shaped and the lakes were still forming, the world was alive with forces, both visible and hidden. In the skies, fire streaked across the heavens. In the deep waters of rivers and lakes, shadows moved with a life of their own. From the union of these elements, fire, water, sky, and deep lake, the great serpent, the meteor dragon, was born. Some say it came from a flaming meteor that fell. My Texan accent's coming out because I got the shit scared out of me. I'm sorry. Some say it came from a flaming meteor that fell from the stars into the waters of what is now Lake Ontario. Others say it hatched from giant eggs hidden within the lake's depths, incubated by the heat of the earth. Whatever its birth, it emerged as a creature stronger than the other, a bridge between the worlds. Its scales glowed like embers, its eyes burned with a light that pierced the darkness of night, and its breath could ignite the air around it. By day it moved beneath the waters, stirring the depths with its massive coils. By night it soared through the sky, trailing fire like a comet, reminding people of the vast powers that govern the world. But the meteor dragon was more than just a beast. In the stories, it is both a test and a teacher. When hunters or heroes came too close to the lake's sacred places, the serpent would challenge them. Some who faced it were swallowed by its might. Others learned wisdom from its riddles or the lessons hidden in its fiery path. The elders of the Seneca people taught their children to respect the lakes, the skies, and the forces that dwell unseen. To anger the meteor dragon was to invite fire and flood alike. Its story became a warning. The world is full of powers beyond human understanding. Those who live must walk carefully between reverence and fear. And so the serpent endures, in the waves, in the stars, in the crackle of fire. A reminder that creation itself can both be beautiful and terrifying, and that respect for the balance of the world is the greatest protection of all. So, was that the right story, Bacon? I really hope it was. Okay. I'm sorry that your teeth hurt, veteran. Let's see, Lulz, you wanted me to read the I'm Not Human lore? Okay, hold on. Okay, then I won't read it. Okay, I won't read it. Okay, you made your opinions clear. You don't want me to actually read it. God, Yuto made another video. Oh my god. Yuto, that is fucking wild. Hello, Monica. Monaka. The chat shouldn't be delayed. The chat's not even showing on stream. How is it delayed? Why did the Road to El Dorado start playing? Oh, Monka. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I misread it. I was thinking of Dragon Ball Super. Don't crucify me. I'm distracted. I was trying to figure out the text. Oh, no. Moles, I didn't read it too late. I was just reading the story. And I was debating on what to read. It's not that it was delayed. You're fine. You gotta remember, there's like a 10-20 second delay already. Don't be angry. Besides, you guys only have me for 19 more minutes. So I need to have some more actual stories, guys. You're not stupid, lols. I was just trying to find the proper story, and then you said /J while I was already looking. So now I'm just gonna probably make my own story up on it. So, yes, I am. There's supposed to be wolf ears, but frickin' I can't make wolf ears with the studio I use because I'm very bad at messing with stuff like this. So I found the easiest thing. Oh, no, you're fine, Lulz. If you need a trash bag, I have a big trash bag that I can fit into. You can't go into it, though, because you're not garbage. I am. You're fine, Venom. Okay, does anyone else have any stories they want me to read before I look up another different story? What is MSA? Well, there's a couple of things MSA could mean. Metropolitan Statistical Area, which is urban planning. Modern Standard Arabic. Master of Science and Accounting. Medical and Science. I say that I am. Oh no, you're not garbage detective. If anybody is, it's me. I fully accept the garbage life. Cat ghost? I am 29 years old. So, I'll look into the cat ghost thing, and I might make a story on it later. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the origin of shapeshifters. So, to be completely transparent, shapeshifters have multiple different, like, stories and everything else. You can do that, Lowe's, if you want to. But to be clear, what I was saying, there's different stories about shapeshifters. There's Norse tales, Native American tribes have it, where they become wolves or coyotes. Celtic lore, where they were Selkies, they could shed their skins to walk as humans. And African and Asian myths are around the same type, where they become tigers, jackals, foxes, or sometimes they do it just for trickery or wisdom. No, that is not okay, Yuto. Don't do that. Now, long ago, in the earliest days, when the world was young and the sky still whispered to the earth, humans and spirits walked closer than they do now. The world was full of magic, mystery, and hidden power, and some beings were gifted, or cursed, with the ability to take many forms. It is said that the first shapeshifters were born from the envy and curiosity of mortals. Humans watched the animals of the forest, and the birds of the sky, and the fish of the water, and they marveled at their grace and freedom. They wished, sometimes aloud, to move like the wolf, soar like the hawk, or swim like the otter. The spirits of the world, who were listening, heard these wishes. Some were kind and granted the gift, a chance to walk among the animals, to carry their forms as their own. Others were cruel, giving the power with a warning. Every transformation comes with a cost. The first shapeshifters learned quickly that to change is not merely skin deep. To wear another form is to borrow its instincts, its hunger, and its fears. Some were granted this power and used it wisely to protect and explore, to learn the secrets of the forest. These became the guardians of balance, mediators between human and animal, spirit and earth. But others were consumed by their desires. They took forms to deceive, to hunt, or to harm. Their human hearts grew cold, and the more they shifted, the less human they became. Their faces remained recognizable, but their eyes almost always betrayed them. The glint of a predator, the slyness of a fox, the cold stare of a wolf. Shapeshifters walk the world, not as monsters, but as lessons. They remind us that identity is fragile, and desire has power, and that to take what is not ours, even in the form of another, can change us forever. Some shapeshifters are said to still be here, hidden in forests, waters, and shadows, waiting for the moon to rise or the right moment to remind you. You may wear many faces, but your soul always bears witness. Also, yes, Yuto, very bad. Don't do that. Hello, Denzel Small. How are you doing? You don't have to be embarrassed about sending the lore. Send the lore! I'll read it later. I won't read it on stream if that makes you feel better. I'm focused on reading for the next 12 minutes. So, the next story I'm doing, because this is actually one that I just thought of, it is a short story that was done in Japan, I believe. It's called Teke Teke. Long ago, in quiet towns and shadowed streets of Japan, there was a girl named Kashima. She was ordinary in life, cheerful and loved by her friends. But one night, tragedy struck. She fell onto the train tracks and was cut in half by a speeding train. Her body was destroyed, but her spirit could not rest. Something inside her burned with anger, pain, and vengeance. From the horror of her death, she became something else entirely, a yokai of the railway, a restless ghost known as Teke Teke. Teke Teke moves in a horrifying, unnatural way. She has no legs, only her upper torso. She drags herself along using her hands or elbows, creating a Teke Teke sound as she skids across the floors, walls, and rails. It is said that if you hear that chilling sound in the dark, it's already much too late. Those who encounter Teke Teke face a terrifying choice. If she catches you, she slashes you in half, mirroring the tragic fate she suffered. Some legends say that she is drawn to places of violence or neglect, stalking among abandoned railroad stations and empty school halls and then dark alleys. Over time, the story has spread, told to children and travelers alike as a warning of trains, caution, and the spirits of the restless dead. But there's a dark truth whispered among the older townsfolk. Teke Teke is not merely a girl's spirit. She is rage and sorrow made flesh, a reminder that tragedy can twist innocence into vengeance, and that some deaths are never truly released to souls. The next time you hear a dragging, scraping sound behind you, that is Teke Teke, and she remembers. The first time I ever heard that story, it genuinely gave me shivers. Hello, Thick Floof. Welcome to the stream. You joined in the last 10 minutes or so. I do apologize. Does anybody else have any folklore they'd like me to read for the next few minutes? Because I am perfectly fine looking up more folklore. If that is the case, I may read the Kache. Is it Kache? God. It's the Split Mouth Woman. I know how to pronounce the name. I forget how to actually say it. It's called the Kuchusaki Una, I believe. It's known as the Split Mouth Woman. So I think I'm going to read that one. Okay, I won't mind you, even though I read what it said already. Okay. Okay. So, this next one is the Legend of the Kuchisake Onna. I'm not sure I pronounced that right. I do apologize. She's also known as the Split Mouth Woman. Long ago, in a small village in Japan, there lived a woman of extraordinary beauty. Her face was flawless, her eyes bright, and her smile could charm anyone. But beauty, it is said, can breed jealousy, and envy can twist even the kindest of hearts. The woman's husband, consumed by suspicion and rage, became convinced that she had been unfaithful. One night, in a blind fury, he attacked her, slashing her mouth from ear to ear. The wound was cruel, permanent, and left her smiling in horror. She survived, but her soul was forever changed, filled with wrath, grief, and a hunger for vengeance. She became a spirit that could no longer rest. The village began to whisper about the split-mouthed woman, a yokai who stalked the night. Kuchisake Onna appears as a beautiful woman, often wearing a mask or cloth over her mouth. She approaches her victims and asks a single terrifying question. Do you think I'm beautiful? If you answer yes, she removes her mask, revealing the gaping wound that stretches from ear to ear. Her mouth a grotesque, permanent smile. She then asks again, Am I still beautiful? Your answer can now seal your fate. Say no, and she kills you instantly. Say yes, and she slashes your face to match hers, turning you into another victim cursed to wander the night. Some legends say she carries scissors in her hands, moving silently yet swiftly, able to strike before you even see her coming. Others tell that she can appear anywhere, schoolyards, streets, or quiet alleys, and that she hunts in dark and misty evenings. Over time, Parents and elders told children about her as a warning to stay indoors after dark, to watch strangers, and to respect appearances, for beauty is fleeting, and vengeance can linger for centuries. And so the split-mouthed woman wanders still, a living reminder of cruelty and jealousy and the curse of rage. If you hear a voice in the night asking if she's beautiful, be careful what you say, because some questions cannot be answered safely. So, another telling I've heard of this is the only real way to survive the split-mouthed woman is when she asks you the second time when you see her face, is to have no reaction on the look of your face and respond so-so, which just means you're a decent looking woman, because that's enough to confuse the spirit and give you a chance to escape. However, it is said that if you don't get into your home in that time frame, she will likely still kill you. Also, hello Angel, I saw you, and I just didn't respond because I was still reading the story. Welcome to the stream. Also, stop eating her cookie trays. She's gonna stop making you guys cookies if you don't stop. Let's see. See, I don't have to roll dice. For some reason, I have, a natural 20 with me. I don't know why, but we're just going to leave that there. So, I have a couple of Herbs Legends because I just looked up a little list for North America, Japan, Europe, and Latin America. So, I'm going to get one more story in and then the stream's going to end. Slender Man, the Hook Man, the Bunny Man, Bloody Mary, the Vanishing Hitchhiker, the Jersey Devil, or the Licked Hand, which is North America's urban legends. Japan, Kasa Obake, Aka Manato. I read that one. And Gashadokuru. So, in the order for those, because I know nobody speaks those. Kasa Obako is a haunted umbrella with one eye and a long tongue. Ako Manato is a masked spirit hunting public bathrooms, offering a red or blue paper. Gashakuduro is a giant skeleton formed from unburied bones, and they roam the night. There is also La Llorona, the Green Children of Woolpit, the Black Dog, the Vanishing Village, El Silbon, I believe I pronounced that right, the Chupacabra, Patalsolo, I don't think I pronounced that right. So La Llorona is the Weeping Woman. The Black Dog is a spectral dog that predicts death. The Chupacabra is a creature that attacks livestock. The Patasola is a one-legged female monster that hunts men in the jungle. So, those are the choices. I'm going to give you all a second to catch up with it. And I want to hear what you guys want me to read. So right now, so far, it's Bloody Mary and the Chupacabra. Does anybody else have any that they'd like to hear out of that list? Because if not, then I'm just going to put the poll up, and it's going to be Chupacabra and Bloody Mary. And I'm going to let you guys vote. So I'm going to give it 30 seconds, starting right this second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 28, 29, 30. So the poll's not up yet. That was me saying that I was going to give you all a second to put other polls up, or other options up. So now the poll's up. And I'm going to give this exactly 1 minute. Am I going to have to... Hold on. I'm going to flip a coin here since it looks like nobody else is voting other than you two. So, let's see. Flip a coin. Heads is Bloody Mary. Tails is Chupacabra. Alright, that's 1 heads. 1 tails. 2 heads, 1 tails. So, we're gonna do Bloody Mary. Okay. Long ago, in a time when mirrors were rare and considered powerful, there was a woman named Mary, though her last name is lost to history. Some say she was Mary Worth, a witch or a vain young woman obsessed with her own reflection. Others claim that she was a mother who suffered a terrible loss, driven mad by grief. Whatever the truth, one thing is agreed upon. Her spirit became trapped in the mirrors she once adored. It is said that if you stand before a mirror at midnight in a dark room and chant her name 3 times, her ghost will appear. Some say she appears calm, others say she is enraged. Her face is pale, her eyes hollow, her mouth twisted in anger. Those who encounter her may face a terrible fate. Legends do vary. Some say death by fright, as her gaze freezes the soul. Others say dragged into the mirror, never to be seen again. A warning of past sins, only appearing to those she deems guilty or vain. Parents and children whispered the story as a warning against curiosity, vanity, and meddling with forces beyond understanding. Teenagers, daring one another at sleepovers, found thrill in the game, to call out her name and risk the terror of the unknown. Bloody Mary's story survives because mirrors are everywhere, and her legends grow. Grow with every glance, every reflection, every whispered dare in the dark. Look closely at your reflection tonight. You never know what might be standing behind you. Hello, Yuto. Hello, KJ. Long ago, in the rural hills of the forests of Puerto Rico, farmers began noticing a strange, terrifying phenomenon. Their livestock, chickens, goats, and sometimes even pigs, were found dead and drained of blood. Each animal bore strange puncture marks on its neck, as if some unseen predator had sucked the life right out of it. The people whispered of a creature no one had ever seen before. They called it the Chupacabra, or literally the goat sucker. Some say it was born from scientific tampering, a secret experiment gone wrong, escaping into the wild to hunt in silence. Others believe it was a curse to the earth, a punishment for humans who had turned their backs on nature and the spirits of the land. The Chupacabra is described in many ways. In Puerto Rico and Mexico, it's often small, reptilian, and with spines running down its back with glowing red eyes. In parts of the United States, however, witnesses describe it more like a hairless dog or a coyote, walking upright or crouched, thin, savage, and intelligent. Whatever its form, the legends say one thing is consistent. The Chupacabra hunts at night, moving silently and draining blood from its prey. Livestock left in the open are never safe, and even the brave few who try to follow the tracks often find nothing, just silence, the bloodless bodies, and the fear that something unseen is watching. Over time, the Chupacabra became more than just a predator. It became the symbol of mystery, the unknown, A reminder the world is bigger and stranger than it seems, and some things just cannot be explained. The next time you see your animals restless at night or hear some strange, wet sounds in the shadows, remember, the chupacabra may be near, stalking silently, leaving only fear and drained hearts in its wake. And there, I did both. Also, welcome back, Monka. Alright, so with that, I am going to end the stream. I am going to condense each and every one of these stories, probably not tonight, but tomorrow, into its own video. So if anybody missed anything or anything like that, there's going to be their own stories. I'm not going to make a joke with what you just said, Lils. I very easily could. I'm going to behave. But with that, I'm going to say good night, everybody. Rest well, get some sleep, and, don't let the chupacabra eat you. Good night, my little sparkles.